Reunited and it feels so good.
Hello, folks. It's time to kick it old school. So you can feel cool. Give it to me, baby. Baby. Yeah.
All right, you get started off. You got to do the intro, bro.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everyone, to the MC Variety Hour.
Woo!
Yeah, see, I had to pause and wait for Miles to do her woo, but sometimes she forgets, and sometimes I forget the intro, so... batting 1,000 here. What do we get out? An episode every month, last 2 months? Remember, we were like, season 3 is going to be it, and we pumped each other up. And we're like, oh yeah, this is going to be so amazing. We're going to do an interview schedule, and we're going to put out a ton of episodes, and nothing is going to get in our way. And so season 3, we've got 2 episodes out. I mean, it's like we curse ourselves, you know?
We try too hard.
We pump each other up, and then, like, you know, the next day I'm like, I'm not able to podcast. I'm sorry.
Well,
it's a variety hour.
Moment, yeah, it was. Well, you had some shit.
I had some shit.
You had some shit going on, and then I fell into, like, usually my weird, awkward depression of isolation doesn't happen until about January. I usually actually have a full, like, prepped schedule for even, like, my family, where I'm like, all right, guys, like, it's happening, you know, like, get ready, because I ain't leaving bed, and I'm going to be a shit person.
Not a shit person. And
then I felt it, and I was like, I literally just I started a new job, which I'm excited about, but I would get home and be like, I'm done. Like, my brain, it's a lot of new knowledge, and a lot of just stuff, and then I don't know, man, I felt bad one day, and it didn't stop for, like, 2 fucking weeks, where I was just, fuck this shit. Fuck everybody, fuck social media. I was like, I wanted nothing to do, and it was nothing personal, but I was like, I can't. I don't want to get on Twitter. I don't want to get, like, I would be on Facebook, but it's because I'm laying in bed and, like, share, got it. Like, there was no, with Facebook, and even, I know with Twitter, it's retweets and whatnot.
You can just autopilot your way through Facebook.
Yeah,
like,
with Twitter.
Like, laugh, like, love, great, good job, good, go, that's great. like, done for the day. Everybody thinks I love them.
It's so true, you know, and I would try to get out there, you know, and feel motivated, and then I was like, I can't, you know, and I felt bad, like, I hadn't touched Twitter for a while. Thank you for, by the way, like, getting out in the universe and doing some of that social interaction, and I was like, I can't, I don't want to people, and I just couldn't people for a little while, you know? But you've been there.
I do. I'm getting real tired of people, which is terrible when you're a bartender. Was that my speakers? Did you hear that little ding?
I did, and that was your speaker, I think.
I don't understand why my speakers are... Okay, can you talk so I can see if I still hear you?
Talk.
Okay.
Talk.
I just wanted to make sure I can hear you on my headphones for some reason, but my computer sounds are coming through my speakers. That doesn't even make sense. But whatever. It's fine. It's fine.
So,
Crawford.
Crawford.
I want
to... Dude, what's going on? Tell us all about you. I talk too much.
This is what people tell me. Just beat around the bush and fucking get to it. I'm like, alright. And my son has inherited that, like, he'll be on the phone with me and I'm like, would you just fucking get to the end of the story? He doesn't listen to my podcast, so I can say whatever I want about him. So... But, you know, I'm just like, he will start 2 years ago. So, 2 years ago, I was driving down the street, and I saw this tree that I really liked. And it'll end up a story about this tree that he cut down yesterday with a crew of people. You know what I mean? I'm like, what did the tree from 2 years ago have to do with the tree? I don't... You know, but at the time, I'm like, I'm not really sure where the story was going. Just, that's kind of how I am too, though. So, not a whole lot's been going on with me. I, been kind of hanging low myself. What? I'm trying to think what has happened since our last podcast. Honestly, just
It's been so long.
working, and I honestly
Hey,
haven't.
how's your oldest doing?
You know what? He's. I think last time we talked, I had said that he moved into a sober living, which is like a fancy word for halfway house. I think they do more than halfway houses. I don't know for sure because I've never been to a halfway house. So he's trying to just continue his sobriety. A lot of his offenses that he had committed were he has to stay sober for at least a year, maybe 2 years, I think. And he'll get something called, and I know I'm going and I can hear it. I'm just trying to think. It's called intervention in lieu of conviction. It's kind of like deferment as long as he behaves for a year or two. Those will be his charges will be dismissed. A couple of them were dismissed. His most serious ones he had to. That's what he got the intervention when he went to rehab. I put him in rehab. So I've been having that going on. He's doing good. He's 2 or 3 weeks into the program. He's supposed to come home for Thanksgiving, so that'll be it's a round trip. Like, if I have to go pick him up, it's a leveling system. And I don't know if he'll be... I know when he was in intensive, or, like inpatient rehab, he had to go through a leveling system, and it wasn't until he was like a level 3 that he had a 25-hour day pass where he could come home for 25 hours. Well, he's a 2.5, 3-hour drive from me, and he wants to come home for Thanksgiving. But Thanksgiving is going to be at another family member's house in another town. And I am not sure, it'll be a 3-hour drive then. So I'd have to drive from here, it's 2.5 hours, drive back to my family member's house, that will be 3 hours. So that's 5.5 hours right there driving. And then drive him back, and then drive back. So about 12 hours of driving in one day on Thanksgiving, which
is hell.
Yeah, there's just so much traffic on Thanksgiving. I've always noticed that. Like, wow, there's a lot of... So... yeah, I mean, I'll still do it, I don't care, but it's literally the only day, like, I work the day before and the day after, so, it sucks when you have a day off and you end up, I'm so tired of driving. That's all I've done for the last 6 months is if you've ever seen the movie Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yes.
And George Clooney is standing in the shop and he's yelling at the little shop owner because they didn't have he's like, oh, no, I'll have his hair jelly. He's like, I don't want pop, goddammit, I'm a Dapper Dan man. And he's like, I can get Dapper Dan in, it'll be about 2 weeks. And he tries to order a car belt, and he's like, well, how long is that going to take? He says, it's going to take about 2 weeks. George Clooney, he says, well, ain't this just a geographical oddity? 2 weeks from everywhere. Where I live is literally 2 hours from everywhere. Everywhere I want to go is a 2-hour drive. Like, to see my son, 2 hours. I'm a medical marijuana patient here in Ohio, but our dispensaries aren't open. But there's a couple of places up in Michigan that will sell to medical marijuana patients. And so it's 2 hours Michigan. It's just 2 hours everywhere. It's just 2 hours. And so I was making that joke the other day. I'm like, this is a geographical oddity. Which, honestly, where I live, I'm actually right in the center of Ohio. I'm like almost smack dab in the center of Ohio. So I guess that's why I'm 2 hours from everywhere.
Everything kind of is like that, though.
Ohio's big. A lot of people don't really think about it, but the longest part of any journey, if you go somewhere, is getting out of Ohio. It literally is like 4 hours to get. The closest that you can get out of Ohio is Indiana and Michigan, where we're at. Like, depending on where you're at in Ohio, like West Virginia or Pennsylvania or something, and that's closest. But for us, if you want to get out of Ohio, you have to go to Michigan, which, speaking of Michigan, roll us into the midterms. Michigan voted almost entirely all blue, and they legalized marijuana. I kept trying to rearrange the letters in Michigan to be like, Ohio. Because we voted almost completely, except for Sherrod Brown. I don't know how he escaped the razor. Woo! But, we voted, like, all red, and then we voted down issue 1, which, I find that upsetting. Our state,
I'm very pissed about that.
And by a large margin, it reminded me of the initial marijuana vote that we had here in our state, where it was like 70-30, which I thought was absolutely like nuh-uh. And I was raging actually to Miles on election day. The whole day, it was like she had posted something on her Facebook about like everybody has their fantasy football and their teams and all that. That's how it is for us people who don't watch a lot of sports. That's our version of sports. Like, who's getting drafted to my team? Who didn't win? Who didn't make it? What assholes coming on from the red side? You know, do we like him?
Though, because
can I handle this person?
I work in a place that my new job. I have everybody I work with, including my manager, is very young, and I had posted that my new manager, even though she is just a fresh grad student, I also found out today she's a Republican.
You couldn't smell that.
No.
I know some of them are
did.
sneaky. Some of them are sneaky.
I smelt it, but I didn't think that she was. I wasn't sure.
Oh, you thought she was a regular, like a normal Republican, like one that you can have an actual conversation with.
Right. So, and then when she had mentioned that stupid thing about she doesn't believe that college. Granted, she's like 26. But she doesn't think that college students should vote because they're not educated enough. And I kind of looked at her and I said, but, I mean, they are more educated than people that come out of high school. Like, how, they don't know the issues. They just vote to vote.
Well,
Actually,
you know what? There's plenty of people in their 40s and 50s that vote just to, I mean, I know a girl at work who was 36 and I was talking to her right after Trump got elected. And she was like, she was like agreeing and saying how much she liked him, and I was like, do you read the news? And she was like, not very often. And I was like, I'm done talking to you. You don't even read the news. You just listen
You don't, exactly.
You just listen to other people tell you what was on the news, and then I just was like, oh, ow, what the fuck?
Right. And this girl's talking about this, and then I had the two youngins that I work with, and I mean youngins, like 10 years younger plus than me, and they're talking, well, one of them, like, he understood the politics-ish, and the other girl's like, well, I don't really vote because I don't get it, and so I don't really vote because I don't get it. And I was like, well, if you need to get it,
you can do that.
You can do that. It's called, I'm sitting right here, and we don't have to talk about it at work. I will gladly take you out and not put a twist of it on either, and I'm very good about, in my opinion, here's a pro-con. Here is the Dem and the Republican version, and here's the liberal version. Like, here is the issue. Here are the facts on this issue. If you want to vote for it, this is what you're voting for. If you want to vote against, this is what you're voting against. Because most people don't read what shit is. And that's fine. That's fine. I mean, it's not fine, okay? But if you don't know, then just ask somebody who does know, and we love to teach. But I agree, like with Crawford. To me, I'm sitting here with somebody who's talking about how college kids shouldn't vote. I'm working with two youngins who don't really grasp school levies and the issues and, the actual danger of people being in prison. And they're complaining because there's too many of their friends on social media with their voting stickers. And, oh my God, like, why would we, why does everybody have to, like, be so proud to be voting today? And I wanted to fucking smack my head against the wall. Like, this is what, like, this is, and to me, it's exciting. I love voting day. That, like, it should be national holiday. I get pumped for voting. Like, any election day, I'm like, it's a fucking election day. Like, I'm going to come home. Polls close at 7:30 in Ohio. I'm going to, on midterms this year, as soon as I got home, literally, after dinner, everything, I went on Twitch and watched Dem All Over do their live update of the midterms. And that's all I did. I had it blasting in the kitchen.
I watched that Twitch feed. I said Twitter. Twitch. I saw you log off.
Yeah.
You were under whose
and
files?
I was.
Sorry, Dem. You can bleep that out. Bleep. Bleep. Here.
No, you're fine. I mean, most people who know now that's the Who Smiles on my Twitter, but I was just on there, but that's all I did. Like, seriously, I got on their Twitch, I watched the midterms, my husband was sitting in the kitchen with me, the kids were walking through, they were asking how things were going, but I had my cocktail, I had my beer, I had everything around me at the kitchen table watching them watch the news because I didn't have cable, and so I'm like, I can watch these guys. And then I'm even telling my other friend Amanda, and I was like, hey, by the way, she's like, how do I watch the freaking election results? And I was like, go to their Twitch. I was like, go to Dem All Over. Here's their Twitch account. They're watching the news and posting it online. And she's like, great. So she logged on and watched the entire midterm elections with us as well. So it's perfect. And I'm like, this is what, but it's Super Bowl time, man. Like, you all care about fucking Cowboys, Giants, Vikings, Seahawks, who the fuck ever.
Affect our country more than they, yeah, you know, if you just put 1% of that passion for your favorite sports team and things into politics, we might be in a different place right now.
Fucking cheers to that, Crawford.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. I'm not saying, but if I was saying, I would just be saying that if you all put in what you love about your sports, or your gambling, or your drinking, or your kayaking, or your fucking camping, you know, if you just
or your vegan eating, no fucking GMO
cleaning,
and fucking no
all
fucking
about
gluten
taking
shit.
Instagramming your pet. If you took, you know what? Literally, last podcast that we did, I didn't even know. I mean, I had heard about issue 1, but I hadn't read about it. I hadn't caught up on what we were voting on this year. But I always, no matter what, even if it's 10 minutes before I walk into my polling station, there are all kinds of websites that are easy to read and navigate and use that will tell you what you're voting on and who you want. You know, what made me mad when I went to vote this time was I looked up issue 1 after I was embarrassed in our last podcast, and I was like, no, what is issue 1? And then I read about it, and I was like, oh, it's great, blah, 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 but I didn't pass. After, like, I want to say the Senate, when they put, like, the treasurer and the judges and all of those, I don't know about you, but when I went to vote, it didn't have Democrat or Republican after, like, the Supreme Court judges that we voted on, things like that.
Correct.
There was no...
They wanted us to vote on the actual, like, people
but
not...
But I could not
Why?
remember which one. You know what I mean? Because there was
Right.
a Mary and a... there were 2 women that had very similar names, and all it had was their names. And I was like... I think it was, like, Mary and Margaret or something. You know? And I was like... Fuck, no, it was Mary and Melody or something, and I was like, I can't remember which one of these I wanted to vote for, you know? I felt bad because I should be more familiar with my candidate, but at the same time, I knew which one I wanted to vote for, and it wasn't even, one of them was a Republican, that I was like, I kind of like what she has to say, I'm going to go with it. You know, I don't always vote party lines, and I was mad, I was raging at my boyfriend about it. I was like, I voted for the wrong person because I didn't have that. You know, I was like, I know it was one of these. Which one was it? I should have wrote it down, I guess. But, you know, I was mad because I did end up voting for the wrong person.
No.
I voted for the rich.
I
voted for... I feel embarrassed, everybody. I voted for the rich white lady and not the struggling black lady.
Well, exactly, but that's just it, though.
Kept me
Because
up.
I actually didn't know about how many judge seats we had. And this is me who knew about, like, you know me, I'm kind of like, okay... We're like 3 weeks out. Where that's usually when I like midterms, unless unless there's really.
I know the big races. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Issues I always have to read
like
about.
Ohio Supreme Court justices.
I didn't know that we were doing that.
I didn't know either.
Okay, thank you.
Until yeah, and honestly, it wasn't. I have been watching about the issues. I know about. You know, Sherrod Brown. I knew about Richard Cordray. I knew about Betty Sutton. You know,
I knew everybody.
All that.
Yes, but when it came
then
to
the judges came out, I was like, "Fuck, what the?"
Who?
Okay, and like you, I only honestly, it was probably like 3 days prior when I was like, because me and my husband 3 days prior to the midterms were talking about issue 1,
right?
Because he had some questions about it that I didn't have answers to, so I was looking it up, and I was going through everything else, and I was like, "Fuck." Who are all these? We're voting for fucking Supremes in Ohio, too? Like, we're voting for all this?
Yeah, what was it? Ballotpedia, I think, is the one. That's a really good website just to get a quick lowdown of, okay, these are the candidates. This is a summary of their platform or whatever, you know? And I had it, and I guess I should have wrote it down because once I got up there, I wasn't sure anymore. I was like, shit, which one of these did I... And I didn't think I could pull out my phone, so I didn't pull my... Because I still had the, you know, the webpage on my phone. And I was like, I don't want to get in trouble. I want to turn around and be like, can I look up the answers to this?
I think it's one of those things that
bonus section.
Especially when it comes to judges, I don't understand why we're...
Oops.
Are you okay?
Yeah, my microphone fell. It literally, like, just fell down like it died. It was kind of funny. But,
You actually sound clearer right now than you did before.
Like right here? Because I'm holding it to my mouth.
You actually sound great right there.
You know what? I'm just going to hold it here then. I wish I could get, like, one of those feed bags that horses have. Just for my microphone, of course. Of course. Not for eating snacks, or sometimes when you're gaming, you need a third hand and there's not one there. You want to eat, but also at the same time, you need to play the game. There's no, Hot Pockets will only take you so far. And sometimes that pepperoni does taste a little funky. Am I right? Sometimes it tastes a little off. Like, I think that is horse meat. I think I got one of the horse meat ones. Wasn't it them that got in trouble for having horse Hot Pockets? That horse meat in there?
I don't.
Yes. You don't know, so I have to look it up, huh? Okay. Horse meat and Hot Pockets. I love Google.
And this, my friends, is how we go from issues to horse meat.
This is an issue, okay? I would vote. You know what? I tell people, and they all laugh, and I'm like, I'm not joking. Horse meat is legal in Ohio. They legalized it. I can remember working back in 2013, and I remember it becoming legal, horse meat becoming something that they could actually sell. And so I tell people who go to these dollar stores and it says 99-cent frozen steaks, I'm like, you notice that it doesn't say beef in front of that, right? I'm like, you better check to see how much horse is in your food. I'm just saying. But
fuck, Crawford, now you just fucked up my whole entire life, man.
I'm
what
serious.
The fuck?
Horse meat. Yeah. What was I looking at? Horse meat and
pizza rolls.
Pizza rolls. No. Hot Pockets. I had a G instead of a G. That's why I was like, what am I looking up? It said horse meat and G. Back in 2014, they recalled 238,000 cases of Hot Pockets because they contained meat that nearly 9 million pounds of diseased and unsound beef products. I don't. Maybe it wasn't, but I can remember.
There's so much salmonella these days. I swear.
Yes, everything has salmonella on it. It's gross.
What the fuck? Seriously, Trump comes into office. Let's play this card because I'm a dick. But seriously, am I wrong? Ever since Trump came into office and started deregulating shit, we have so many fucking recalls over the last 2 years over meat products that I don't remember seeing as much during the Obama administration. So thanks, Obama, for not fucking trying to kill me. But Trump, I'm telling you, ever since he took office, it's like turkey's bad, beef's bad, this is bad. I guess it was 2014. That would have been the Obama administration during Hot Pocket season, motherfucker.
I got damn hot. Sons of bitches. I get upset.
Sons of bitches. Oh, you should. You should get upset. Crawford.
I am upset most of the time, but I'm a medical marijuana patient, so I'm very, very relaxed. But enraged.
That's what I need to become.
I'm enraged on the inside. Don't get me wrong. I am. You should see me type. But but for the most part, I'm pretty chill these days. I even upped my game. I got a really neat pen, that I smoke out of now. And I just I know. I don't. I've upgraded. I'm a medical marijuana patient. I'm just I'm a medical marijuana patient. You got something to say about it? I'm a little attitudey about it. Excuse me? Do you want to see my letter? I'm supposed to be high, okay? Doctor recommended.
Hey, did you see that Dayton? Was it Dayton?
No, it was, I think it was, it might have been. There were a couple places. I know outside
in
of
Ohio
Cincinnati,
that they're legalizing recreational marijuana.
Oh, really? I saw that they were taking away the penalties for being caught with it. No, it's different. It's not legalizing it. It's just they won't give you a ticket. That doesn't mean that you can go into a dispensary and buy weed without a recommendation. And if you go outside of your town, you can be cited for possession. You know what I mean?
No, I swear.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna let you.
Well, maybe no, not like I swear.
Clack, clack, click, clack, click, clack. You look that up real quick. I will pilot. I'll pilot.
Here we go.
this camera. Oh, see how quick she is on our
Legalizing
laptop?
recreational marijuana may be back before Ohio. Oh, advocates for full legalization of marijuana cleared a major hurdle Thursday when Ohio attorney. Wait, hold on. Let me look up the actual date. Okay, this is May 10th, though.
Yeah, that's not too long ago. 6 months.
No, but
7 months, actually. This month.
When Attorney General Mike DeWine certified the petition.
I hate Mike DeWine. I'm sorry. I did not mean to yell over you.
No, fuck Mike DeWine. I can't believe he fucking won. Like, I really thought fucking DeWine would finally go underneath fucking Cordray and Sutton, and he just...
You know what? I
thought
Jim Jordan. I thought Cordray was going to win, and he was projected to win. I was like, that's when I knew. I was like, I don't trust any kind of projections anymore after Trump won. That shit was such an upset for everybody.
Dude, there has to be... I really feel that Cordray shouldn't have lost the way that he lost.
That's some upsetting shit.
It really is. I really thought, and it wasn't even just because of the predictions. I really thought that, that Ohio finally realized that as much as we can put Mike DeWine on the pedestal for quote unquote suing the pharmaceutical companies, it was underneath Mike DeWine that the pharmaceuticals came into Ohio. And he was suing them to backtrack his own fucking wrongdoings. It wasn't because he was sorry. Yep. It's because he was being blamed for the opiate epidemic.
You know what I find
that's all.
Upsetting is I don't like Husted. I don't
fucking John Husted. He's a fucking
You know what?
fuck.
Because I believe that he meddled in the election that when we were voting on marijuana.
Yeah, he did.
Because the polls went from, the results changed suddenly. I just remember back then there being like, we should have had a recount, and there was something funky about it. He did something else around that time, and I can't stand that guy now. Like, I'm so angry. And then, watching the results come in, and you see that our state has nothing but fucking red all the way down, but Sherrod Brown, who, I kind of knew. Everybody loves Sherrod.
Well, it's not like that, but like Sherrod, they had put out an article about a month ago about how the Republican Party was really pissed at Renisi, who was running against him, because he legitimately went for he invested $4 million of his own money, and that was it. And once he realized that he needed more, he didn't really try. He wasn't putting out the ad campaigns, and I think to some degree, he was trying to show that he wasn't that Republican who was going to dump like $20 million into this.
Right.
I'll give him credit for that. He's still a piece of shit, but and not just because he's Republican, because he really is just not a good person.
Yeah, there's being a Republican doesn't automatically disqualify you in my book, but it gives me pause. It
does.
It's like, okay, and then you have to start like feeling it out. Like, what kind of Republican are you? And you start like looking at their belt buckle, see if it's a Confederate flag. Do they have a "Make America Great Again" vibe about them?
Yeah, and I think that's a huge thing that most Republicans are really like. For me, there's another woman I work with who I know is a Republican, but she's embarrassed that she voted for Trump.
She's a closet Republican.
Yeah. She's one of those who's like, she's proud to be a Republican, but she doesn't, like, she realizes how stupid she looks. She realizes that he made her look stupid, and how maybe bad her vote was. And I said, and I looked at her, I was like, well, this is why you vote for people, like, and not party, and
right.
When you vote just for your party, this is what you get. And your party, and like you said, I have no problem with Republicans. I actually have Republican friends.
Me too. I agree with some Republican ideas that aren't extreme. I would say
exactly.
I really do think that I'm moderate for most of my politics. Like, I'm pretty, but I do lean left when it comes to social issues.
Yes.
But as far as
and
like
you said,
fiscal
issue one was
responsibility,
a social issue,
right? And that was something where I leaned left on. But No, we don't have to get into all about issue 1. There was you know what made me sad is they got a ton of information in support of a ton of money. They got a $3 million grant from the Chan Zuckerberg Con.
Yeah.
His wife's maiden, Mark Zuckerberg's wife's maiden name. Their foundation, they donated like $3 million. The campaign for no against it was $600,000, and I think for yes, it was like $6 million that they had. It was something. I mean, it was a huge disparity, unless I read it incorrectly. And it still failed. Like, what was it, like a 70-30 or something? I mean, my own sheriff's department here had a sign out front that said, "Vote no on issue 1. Just say no to drugs." And it pissed me off so bad. No information, no facts. No, this is why you should vote this way. Just our county sheriff telling people how to fucking vote.
People who voted no.
Because they thought it wouldn't be drug traffickers. They thought it would leave drug dealers out on the streets. No, it was just to help people who are fucking addicts.
Hey, Crawford, did you find out whether or not that sign outside the sheriff's office was legal or not?
No, I never did. I looked it up. Nobody replied to me. I ended up, from what I read, and when I was reading about issue 1 and I saw all the people who donated against it, it was like the Ohio Association of Sheriffs and like the Benevolent Order of Police. It was all police agencies, and I thought, they're allowed to donate, then I guess they're allowed to put a sign out. But to me, that just doesn't seem right. I couldn't find an actual law about it. I've never seen that before either. I've never seen legislation or encouragement to vote one way or another from a law or a government agency. They're usually impartial, if I remember.
Right, but this one I think was there were so many people who I think, because the low level of fentanyl that was on there is what deterred a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because we know that it doesn't take a lot of fentanyl in the first place to kill somebody.
Right. Especially
and because if you're a low level defender, if you're a low level offender of fentanyl, you would have been let go. And because we're honestly, and I wholeheartedly believe that issue 1 would have passed
if they would have left
had it
fentanyl.
Not included heroin and fentanyl. If that had not been a part of the wording, I honestly think that would have passed. But because we're in the middle of an opiate epidemic and you're talking about letting people carry heroin and fentanyl,
I understand fentanyl just because even if you touch it, if you absorb it through the skin, it can kill you. It is a very, very dangerous drug. Probably the deadliest available that I can think of. I mean, it's absorbed through the skin. But I think leaving heroin on, only because it's something that, I don't know, to me, they're two different, they're talked about the most, but they're two different drugs. And so I think the only way for heroin users to get clean is if they have those opportunities, because once you take off heroin and fentanyl for, that being a deterrent or whatever, those are the two biggest in our state. We're really not helping anybody. If we're going to be legalizing marijuana with medical marijuana, that's a small pool of people who that's going to benefit then, because heroin and fentanyl are the two biggest ones that we're trying to combat right now. But I understand what you're saying about that's why a lot of people were turned off by it, because of fentanyl and heroin, and it shouldn't be, but it is our biggest. That's why I think it was included, because those are the two biggest things killing off not just a generation, but a large part of our population. What do they call it? The life expectancy rate. We actually lost a year off of our life expectancy. I think we talked about this last year because of all of the overdoses. It actually reduced our overall life expectancy by a year. So that's just my thought on it. I interrupted you. I like to do that. That's when I'm passionate. But you know what I mean? Like, I think that's why, is because if you drop heroin and fentanyl off the list, we're talking about marijuana, crack, meth, and those aren't, I mean, I know people are doing those drugs, but those ones aren't at the forefront of what's going on. And so to me, heroin and fentanyl users just fall through the cracks. They just go back into the system, and it doesn't it's not even a Band-Aid. It's like just throwing a towel on it and walking away.
Well, and I agree. And I agree to that on so many levels. But I know that for in a state where we are pushing so hard on the opiate epidemic to include the two main drugs that are killing our friends and our kids, and which I completely, like I said, I understand the points of views, and that's why I said it would be shocking. But I remember that, I mean, even being there was a lot of people who said, I agree with this law 100%. Outside the fact, though, once I saw fentanyl, I didn't have any other choice.
Right. But it's like, but that's killing people. And what I liked about it was that it diverted funds. A lot of people,
to mental health, because we lost our levy last year. We lost our mental health levy,
right?
So we levied for more money for the mental health and elderly and poor fund. I mean, a better way to put it,
right?
Poor people, the elderly, and mental health. Well, we denied that levy for the state. Well, then we wrote it back into two ways. We wrote it back into the issue 1, and we wrote it into our school levy, in which our school levy would cover mental health. And then we would have, if issue 1 and our city school, like my city school, levy had passed, we would now have 2 new funds in my town specifically for better access and more grant money for mental health services, which would help out phenomenally. But we denied both of those. And that's what happens when you live in a Republican state and town.
Yeah.
Is that my school needs money. We denied it because of a security measure that people
shocked.
who voted against it.
I'm upset about my county, but where you live, they voted everything down, and over here,
it's because those fucking teabaggers out there who don't even have
don't need no more
kids
money
in my goddamn public school. You don't even have fucking kids in my school district.
Well, then why should they have to pay taxes?
Go there. Then why the fuck do you get?
That's what they say.
It's $75 fucking dollars a year. $75 a year out of everybody who lives here. That's what it would have cost to put extra fucking cops and extra mental health into our school system. And God forbid, because by the way, folks, Monday, I'm going to be a hot mess because my middle schooler is officially going through his first ever active shooter drill. So we've done lockdowns. We've done our lockdowns, right? So we've done all of our lockdowns where we pretend and we prepare in the elementaries. Well, now that we have entered middle school, Finley is doing their first quote-unquote live-action shooter, where the principal doesn't know what time it's going to be. He just knows it's going to be in the morning-ish time. They're going to have somebody, quote-unquote, breach our security system at my kid's school, and we don't know what kind of scenario it's going to be. It could be anything from a guy trying to, the crazy father or mother trying to get their kid, to an actual person. Like, it's all fake, obviously. It's whatever.
Right, but that's the kind of that's
but
what we live in.
They're going to have the fucking rings going off. They're going to have the cops there. They're going to have fire trucks there. The teachers, apparently now I got to start buying rope ladders for our middle school, so that way the kids on the second floor can find a way to get out the window if they can't make it out the exits. Like, legit stuff I had to talk about at parent-teacher conference last night, because they don't, they're like, here's the exits, but they don't know what they're going to do if those exits are blocked because of the school shooter. So Monday, my kid gets to have his wonderful morning at school, and then reenact what happens in case this really does happen, and how our teachers react, how our principals react, how our police will react, and all of that. So that's a real life situation where the school is going to go on full lockdown, and the kids are going to experience the sounds. They're going to go through all the steps, step by step, and all these teachers could be in the middle of classroom. The kids could be in bathrooms. It doesn't matter. They're going to do the full case scenario.
I think that's just nuts.
I'm fucking scared and I'm sad. I came home last night and was just like, I'm going to go buy myself a bottle because I'm fucking, me and my son's teacher talked for probably a good 25 minutes about it, because I'm like, this breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. And not only that, but this is coming, you're literally doing this drill less than a week after you guys denied our levy to prepare us if this happens. And if we don't do well on this, it's only going to cut deeper that we aren't ready for this. And when there's what's happening, now, out there in the universe, and, this is, we didn't pass it, we're not even passing mental health levies, this is 2 years in a row that we won't even give money.
Stick our heads in the sand. It's all
because some fucking
here.
old tea baggers made some people and some fucking hippie dippies whose fucking kids don't even go to school made everybody believe that their point of view that you shouldn't have to pay and that our schools are just safe the way that they are and that we don't really have a mental health issue. We have a fucking liberal democratic issue. Like, this is our fucking town. Like, I'm so enraged by it. But now I'm off the step stool. So, yeah. Anyways.
I totally agree. You know what? Whenever I don't mind levies and taxes and things that better our schools, our parks, community programs, mental health. I always vote yes. Like where I live, we had several things on the ballot. We had let's see here. We had a library. Our library here is actually really... I used to live in the city that Miles lives in, and they had a public library there. And maybe they do have a bunch of programs and things that you can do there, but I just went there to use the internet, like back when it was 2000, 2001, and rent DVDs and things like that. So I never really knew about the community programs, but over here where I live, it's a very small town, and they have like Lego night, and they have a knitting club and a cooking club and a sewing club, and they do clothing swaps. And in the summer, they put out a calendar, and every day in the summer when there's no school, they have things for kids to do. It's just a very active community. Like there's always stuff going on at the park. We've got a really cool Christmas light show. So this year there was a renewal levy for the library. There was something for the schools. I want to say that there was something for the elderly. There was like 4 levies and taxes on the ballot. And honestly, I don't mind. I voted yes on all of them. I know it takes more money out of my paycheck, but I'm okay with some of my money going to programs and things like that benefit our community and that people enjoy and like doing. To me, it's no different than donating $5 to the local playground fund or something like that, or $20 or whatever. To me, it's like a passively donating money to a cause. Yeah, I'll throw $5 on that. So that's kind of how I feel about school taxes and levies. I don't think that there's anything wrong with wanting to support your community, and it just makes me sad over in Findlay where they just ignore what's going on in their community. They won't allow halfway houses, any kind of treatment centers. There's no real help for the opiate epidemic over there. And then they also vote down things that benefit their schools. And it's a very rich community. They have a lot of corporate money that comes in over there. There's just, to me, that's insane that they just keep sticking their head in the sand. Miles, I was just talking about, we have, over here, I voted on, we had like 3 or 4 levies or taxes that we voted on, and they all passed over here. Like there was a library renewal levy, and I was talking about how...
But you can't make the rich people in this town give up their money because they think the only reason they're rich is because they keep saving their money and not paying the poor people.
Right. Our library...
It's a fucked up system, but it's the truth.
It is. And Findlay, I was just comparing, like, our library here, there's all kinds of little programs. They have, like, a Lego night. There's storytelling. There's a knitters club, a sewing club, a cooking club. In the summertime, they have a calendar that they put out, and every day... Like, say, every Wednesday, last summer, they had, like, a Minecraft thing. Like, where every Tuesday night, they had, like, a Minecraft tournament, They're just, they're very community-oriented. And, like our Fantasy Lights that we do every year over here.
Yeah,
that
I love
benefits.
that. That thing is the fucking coolest. I can't wait to go again.
It's huge, I know, and they start on it the last day of October. Like you'll see the big nutcracker men laying on the ground. Like the park's closed down for now until December 1st. They work on it all month, setting it up. So, but they change it every year, and it's just really neat. But then there's a couple houses here in Upper that also do their own lights and music show. I don't know if you knew that, but if you drive, there's 2 houses.
I did not.
Yeah, there's 2 houses just around the corner from that. You tune your radio station. Yeah. And there's 3 houses that do it in a row on one street, and it's pretty cool. You turn it to the little radio station, and you'll see a little light show. They even have the sidewalk.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
And we don't even, and that's just a part that bothers me.
There's no community in Findlay. Like, people are so rude to each other there.
Yeah.
Like, if you stand in line at the grocery store and you try to make conversation with the person next to you, because, say, somebody, you're 4 people behind, you just look up. They just look at you like you have 2 heads or you're an alien or something's wrong with you. But here people are like, they're always talking about how much rain they got. Everybody here has a rain gauge. Like, yeah, I got 2.8 inches, but there's always chit chat, right?
It's true. And I will give it, like, the whole entire community doesn't suck. I mean, there are some really good. I had, at least during that 2-week bout, I had, like, honestly 2 really good days back to back. The one was a really cute story about that girl who rolled on her window to let me know how beautiful I looked that day. I don't know if she was on drugs, but it made me feel fucking awesome. And that
drugs are awesome. No, I'm just kidding.
It was.
Mixed messages. Mixed messages.
Like, it was so fucking weird, though. Like, I'm sitting there, if you're not my Facebook friend, if you're not my Facebook friend, you don't know the truth.
You'll never know.
You'll never know. But like a week or so ago, I think it was, Crawford, but I was sitting in front of one of our stoplights, whatever. I was just sitting there and zoning out. I wasn't playing on my cell phone or nothing, just zoning. And I hear this like car like honk, and I'm like, I didn't miss a green light. Like, I'm still sitting. I look over, and there's this girl, and she had her window rolled down. And so I rolled down my passenger window, and I'm like, hey, what's up? She's like, I just want to let you know, you're just so beautiful. And I'm stunned. I'm like, what? She's like, I'm weird, and I know that I'm weird, but you're beautiful. And I was like, oh, thanks. Like, and then the light turned green, and I like drove off, and I was like laughing hysterically, and it made my day. And outside of that, there was one other time, because you mentioned the grocery store. That's why this all triggered my brain. Grocery store. But so I was at the grocery store picking up I don't know, something for the fucking kids, as always. And there was an old lady behind me, and I was picking up tortellini and for meatballs at night.
Oh, was it cheese tortellini? I'm sorry to break it.
Oh, fuck yeah, it was.
I love cheese tortellini.
So fucking good. So this old lady is behind me, and she's like, what is that? And I was like, oh, this is cheese tortellini. Like, you literally boil it for 5 minutes, put some pasta sauce on it with your meatballs, fucking dinner. Done. Boom. Like, less than 30 minutes.
Yes.
Great. And she goes, here's my dinner. It's a bottle of vodka, a bottle of Kahlua, and shrimp cocktail.
Very nice.
She had a thing of Folgers coffee, and I was cracking up because it reminded me of my grandmother. Me and my grandmother didn't always get along, but my grandmother always had to have shrimp cocktail, and she always had some kind of, like, if it wasn't PBR, she had some kind of, like, White Russian mixer vodka kind of thing, but this little old lady, she was as cute as a button, but it really had been, I came home giddy telling Andy I had found my spirit animal at the grocery store. And he goes, so that's your main goal? I was like, yeah, I'm going to get old and have like shrimp cocktail and like mudslides. This is perfect. And, but it had honestly been the first time that somebody had talked to me at the grocery store in line. And I don't know how long it had been since somebody had talked to me in the line. Who struck up a conversation with me. And
yeah. I know, it's weird.
And I don't feel like I come off as a shitty person.
No. Sometimes I'm in the mood to talk, sometimes I'm not. But I had to get used to it over here. Like people talking to me, because I used to like turn around and just look like, are you talking? I don't know you. Are you speaking? I'm sorry, I've been in isolation for 15 years.
But it's true, because this town just isn't.
It's weird.
It's so weird, and
anybody
even when you know people in this town, you
yeah.
don't know if you want to talk to them or not,
Well, anybody that comes and visits Findlay and leaves, or anybody that's moved here from other places, will tell you it's a weird town. They're like, what is up with this town? This town's weird. People comment on the driving.
Oh my God, our driving here is terrible.
Yeah,
it's
like,
so
8 cars will turn after the light has turned red. How one car or two who are like pulled out there in the intersection to turn left, across traffic. not in Findlay. Like, there'll be like 8. The whole lane will empty out, you know, to the point where your light's about to turn red because you're still waiting for. I mean, it's awful over there. But here, nobody uses a turn signal, and they do 10 miles under the speed limit. Like, you never know. You know, first of all, you're riding their ass. You don't mean to, but I mean, how do you cruise behind somebody where you're basically riding the brake the whole time, and then they don't even use. They just kind of weave off, and everybody here drives their golf cart around. Like, they even made a law because golf carts only go up to like 35 miles an hour or whatever. They lowered out in the rich area here. They lowered the speed limit so that those people could drive their golf carts in town. You know, and because out there it was 45. So I'm like,
God, that's so funny.
Oh God, you know what? We have a custom golf carts here so everybody rides around in this town in like these custom made golf carts with their favorite football teams or some of them have flames and teeth and eyes, you know what I mean? Like,
they've really gone all out on it.
Here's something else that's a little weird. This is the smallest town I've ever lived in, and it's I love this word, rural. It's a farming community and it's small. So, you know, I'll be sitting here at my computer at like 2 o'clock in the morning minding my own business, and I'll hear a vroom, 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 and I'll look out there and there's people just snowboarding or snowmobiling, sorry, down the middle of the roads, you know, because they're just, I live on the edge of town, so there's nothing but farm fields all around me though if I look out my window. So it's just like all these people that live out in the country that are just going out and about on their smoke. But they're allowed to, though, here in town. Like, there's no ordinance that they're allowed to do that. So that's the first for me as well. Have you ever heard of snowmobiles in Findlay?
No. Only when I worked out at Buffalo Wild Wings, because it's right there on 236.
Right, like it's out there. I've seen people on AVs out by there.
They can drive in from like from like Van Buren coming into Buffalo Wild Wings, like that side of 236. They could do
weird.
that. It's so funny, but like, yeah, you're like, what the fuck is that? No, have you ever? And then you get used to it.
And here's something else that I've never seen before, and it delights me to no end, is people get their riding lawnmowers, and they get these little tiny shovels for the front of them. And you know those plastic tents that you see that they advertise to soccer moms for when it's cold?
Yes.
You know, like those little pods? You can get one of those for your riding lawnmower. And so there's a couple of old retired guys here in town that have like the Pope Mobile on their riding lawnmower and a little shovel, and they just drive around plowing the sidewalks. Like, they'll do a whole, I'm talking like 3 miles, you know what I mean? They'll just ride 8th Street all the way down, you know?
Oh my
and then
God, that's
come
so
back
great.
the other side. Yeah, like, you know, just do. It makes me laugh, you know? I'm like, that's the weirdest little town I've ever lived in. Like, I like it, but I hate it at the same time because it is so small, but it's so curious.
But you know, and that's why I always say, like, there's always something about like little towns, because when we do find our niche, when we do find what we like, we love it and we embrace it. You know, Findlay just is very far behind on what we embrace. And I think that once
fractured town, there's no sense
it
of
really
community
is
there. To me, there isn't. You know,
and I think that once we, like my generation, like once we're probably in like our
50s.
What probably yeah, the
50s
next 10
is
to
when
15
people
years.
that's when people start taking you seriously politically. You know, I'm planning on being a mayor of a small town. I mean, I know a mayor of a small town. I wait on him, you know, and it's like a population of 500. I could do that, you know, like if he could be a mayor, I could be a fucking mayor, and I will be. I will be a mayor.
And that's funny because I think that would be so great if in like 10 years from now we just start a podcast like the mayors of Ohio, you know, and we just like, hey, by the way, guys, remember how back in the day we talked about being mayors? And then I actually just been like, well, my credit's finally good enough. I'm going to be the mayor of Findlay.
We'll find the episode and play the clip where we talk about it. And then we'll be like, guess what? Guess who won a landslide? I ran against a pig. And I beat him by 4 points, you know? I mean, there are towns out there that have like cats and dogs as their mayor, you know? I mean, you could lose to a dog.
Reno, Nevada. I mean,
That's
what
it is.
Nevada like they fucking nominated a fucking dead pimp. I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, this dead
Yes,
pimp,
yes,
he's
yes.
my guy. He's my guy. I'm
I
like, what the
saw
fuck?
that.
Like,
I
he's a
was
dead
like-
pimp, and y'all still voted for him before a
There was-
Democrat. Fuck.
I saw an article about I don't remember who the headline was. How do you write a concession speech to an opponent, a dead opponent? Like, congratulations for winning.
You're dead, and you're not really gonna know that you're dead because you're dead.
Right,
like
that's
it's
just weird.
fucking America. I mean, this is how America runs. We run on like dog mayors, dead
we
pimps
did
for
good.
fucking governors.
We elected 100 women, I believe it was,
Yeah?
to various positions. I didn't have a lot of faith in the whole wave concept just because it would have had to have been a tidal wave to overcome how much red. But we almost did it. I mean, we took the House and all of the Senate races were very close. I mean, we're talking 48 to 53%. We were very, very close, and give us 2 more years of just pushing it and hopefully, I don't hold out a lot of hope just because with the Democrats taking the House and the Republicans having the Senate, it's just going to be a gridlocked Congress for the next 2 years until midterms. The next general election. I think that's what that is, right? When it's a presidential, it's a general election.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next general election. I hope by then we've made the right amount of progress and we can get our country back on a sane. Did you see the laws that they passed in West Virginia and Alabama, by the way? We didn't talk about that.
Dude, there are some fucking dumb ones. You talk about that because you, I think, know more about it than I do.
Well, I don't know the names of them, but West Virginia and Alabama both passed laws basically saying that women don't have a right to an abortion. And so if anybody challenges it, it can go to the Supreme Court. And so we're looking at that already. Like that was not even a month after Kavanaugh was confirmed. We had our midterms, and 2 states have already moved to amend their constitution so that women don't have a right to an abortion. So if a woman were to challenge that law, then it'll go to the Supreme Court, and then that's when Roe versus Wade will be decided. You know what I mean? Like if they find in favor of West Virginia or Alabama, that opens the way to having Roe versus Wade reversed or overturned, I guess is how you would say it. So yeah, but there were also 3 other states. I think Missouri was one of them. I can't remember the other 2. Utah, perhaps. That doesn't sound right. Idaho, maybe. Legalized the medical marijuanas. So there's a green wave coming across America, but also and a pink wave. We got a lot of women in Congress, and I think that's pretty exciting. But I'm pretty sad about those 2 laws. And I mean, I'm not surprised about Alabama. But West Virginia, I'm just like, really, West Virginia? You guys are so stupid.
There's so many like dumb fucked up shit. Like, and it's there's so much that's going on, with legislation. And I think you're right. I mean, it is going to be a complete gridlock. We've got the world's biggest dumbass in presidency. And it's not... Here's the thing, what bothers me the most. Okay, actually, there's a lot of things that bother me about Trump. I think our listeners have heard about that a time or 2.
No, never.
But what bothers me the most is his inability to be there in a time of tragedy. Which, by the way, 2 Girls on a Bench, we're showing you much love. We know that you guys are right there in the heart of California right now. In Thousand Oaks, that you 2 ladies did some amazing work and being out there all night for the victims and helping and bringing water and food and all of that. So kudos to 2 Girls on a Bench. I know that this shooting for you guys is legit hometown. That is where you live. That's and sad. I can't imagine. That's how devastating to be there and for those girls to kind of stop everything they're doing to go be there for the victims. So if anything, 2 Girls on a Bench, we're definitely going to go buy you 2 cups of coffee. Thank you for all your hard work and your effort in Thousand Oaks, California. We definitely appreciate it. And during that time, though, President Trump isn't there. He's not.
No, he
talking
doesn't
about
care.
He's not. He wasn't there for North
He has no
Carolina, right? He wasn't there
sympathy.
for Florida. He's not. He's not there for any of this until way after, And I was never, and I will never speak proud of Bush or all of the other fucking morons that are out there that reign our country.
But
There's
in
a lot of
hindsight,
morons. But in hindsight, I mean, it's amazing that in 17 years ago, we were devastated that George Bush kept reading a book to kids during 9/11, and now we have a president who doesn't even acknowledge
not a tragedy at all. He's like,
Now,
he calls people losers all the time.
Yeah, they won't do anything to, he does nothing to console a divided nation. And we are divided. And maybe we contribute to that. And I understand that part of our rhetoric seems like it's division. But I think what Crawford and I also truly express in this podcast is that as much as we're divided, we're just trying to fucking find a way to make this a little bit more fair and equal. We're not asking for, if Bill Gates gave us like $1 million, we wouldn't care. But we're not asking for $1 million. What we're asking for is just an equal playing field, and not for us, but for everyone. And most of all, to take care of those in need first, those who are most in need, to take care of them first. And then we can work our way up the ladder, and then we can take care of the corporations. But I don't think that's division. That to me is a moral compass. I think it's not, our nation is not divided. Our moral compass has been broke. And we have a president that instead of finding a way, and what Obama, and despite what everybody can hate about Obama and Michelle and all this shit that you guys can conjure up about all the things that you want to in your head, and that's fine, that's your own opinion. You have to recognize, okay, you don't have to, but I would ask that you recognize the difference in how Obama handled every shooting, every natural disaster, everything that happened to our nation. The
It
reason
was like
that
he
we
felt
feel, yeah, and he not only felt it, but he made us feel it. He made us sad. Like watching that video. Okay, let's see if I can talk about it. I don't know if anybody had watched the CNN video that's out there. There's two of them that are just fucking heart-wrenching. One was from a father whose one of the children died in Thousand Oaks, and he stood there with his baseball cap on, and he was talking about his son.
Oh, yes, and he broke
Oh,
down.
man,
I did get to see that. Poor guy. I know.
It was it was very, very hard to watch. And then another son had been shot, and he recently passed away this morning, and he actually survived. There's actually 3 people in the California shooting that were also involved in the Las Vegas shooting. 2 of them have survived. Yeah, so 2 survived and 1 died. And then the mom, whose son survived Las Vegas but died in California, her speech was played on NPR this morning, and I had to literally put it into a parking lot because I was so eyes blurry, and it was snowing this morning, so I'm like, compose. But even the broadcaster on the NPR news this morning was you could hear her voice just taken aback because this mom, she said, I don't want your thoughts and prayers. The last thing I want, I don't care about your thoughts. I don't care about your prayers. I don't need that. I need gun reform. My son survived Las Vegas and came home. He and finally got the courage to go back out again, and then gets killed again. I can't imagine. And then you have 2 other people who, again, a year ago were in Las Vegas. And now
That's
a year
so
later,
sad. That's just heartbreaking,
right? And they've survived, but I can't wrap my head around at some point their trauma. That for me, I would be that's it. I'm staying inside. I'm never going, like that is, I'm done with the world, because now I'm too scared. Because at what point does it become safe to come outside? And again, instead of, I'm not here to bring up the division. I'm saying, I'm not asking for all of us to stand divided in these times and to talk about the NRA or any of their bullshit. I'm asking us, instead of being divided on the issue, can we come to a law that we can all semi-agree with? I'm not we don't have to swallow the big hard pill that we're completely at a loss. But there has to be something, right? Like, there has to be a moral compass between the gun owners and the non-gun owners.
And that's where we keep butting heads, because, and it's like, well, I guess we'll just keep dying and dying and dying until, and I say that every single time that we talk about people being unaffected by certain issues. It has to affect enough people for people to make change. That's enough people need to lose, sadly enough, need to lose their family and friends to gun violence before people will say enough is enough. That's just like with cancer. Enough people have finally died from cancer where it's like the number one thing that people are like, fuck cancer, dude. Cancer sucks, It probably wasn't all,
we have more people who are dying daily.
Right.
I'm not sure.
I mean,
I'm not even sure that statistic is true, so
is
this could be false news, but I'm pretty sure there's more people who are dying from guns
probably
than there are from cancer.
And I know,
so why do we have more legislation?
Well, and I know that, cancer is a disease, and that's a totally different issue from gun violence or whatever, but I just mean, like, how change comes about how enough people get behind an idea to say, okay, enough is enough. And I find it appalling how many people have died, to the point, I would say since, like, let's say 1990, we had the World Trade Center bombing. We had the Oklahoma City bombing. That's when we started seeing more school the very first, like, Columbine. I mean, there's a couple of school shootings before Columbine, and there's always been terrorism in different forms and things. But that's when we saw, like, the uptick of it, where it became really violent and really big and, and really scary. And here we are all this time later, and we're still having the same arguments that we were having back then. We've made no progress at all. It's just we're in this terrible stalemate, and it's like, well, how many people need to die from guns and violence before people finally say maybe we do need to take a step back and change things,
Yeah, and I think that's one of those things that really, I think, bother me. So while you're talking, now this is according to a fact based in 2015. So according to the American Cancer Society in the United States, about 1,620 people were expected to die of cancer each day in 2015. And if we went from the gun rates in 2015, I was wrong. It was 13,286 people die from gun violence per day in the year 2015. So, but there's not that, I mean, there's a very slim margin there between those two numbers. And yet we have all kinds of reform. No, actually, I'm wrong. Hold on. Am I reading this right? I don't know. I'll put the stats here in a minute. But there is the amount of money and advocacy that we put towards, and science that we put towards cancer. If we could take, let's say, $1 of that every time and put it towards gun reform. And we put as much passion. Because if you're saying that 1,620 people were expected to die each day in 2015 of cancer. Okay, let's remember that. 1,620.
1,620.
Oh, I'm sorry. And then firearms were used to kill 13,286 people. So I'm sorry, I was very wrong. 13,000 people died per day in 2015 from gun violence, excluding suicide.
Oh, my.
And so that's now it's saying between 1968 and 2011, 1.4 million people died from guns. But 13,000 people died in 2015 from guns per day, and 1,600 people died from cancer. But we have how many cancer research patient, Susan G. Komen, save the blah, blah, blah do we have?
That doesn't even benefit cancer research. That
doesn't even benefit. And then
I can't stand that Susan G. Komen bullshit. That is such a. If you look, if nobody knows, there are I can't remember CharityWatch.net, I think it's called. There are websites out there that there are watchdog groups for charities. And if you get a chance, look at the Susan G. Komen Race to the Cure and how much money actually goes back to cancer research, all the shit that they hawk, how much the CEO makes, things like that. It's fucking appalling. You're better off donating to your local cancer patient services or whatever. You know, if you really want your money to do good, donate it locally.
Right. And that, and see, even, I agree. There's so many things I could go on about that, but not only that, but sorry, because I have all this stuff on my phone now. But as of also 2015, as we've started to see the uptick in all kinds of shooting, gun violence, etc., there was as many people, gun deaths and motor vehicle deaths converge. Basically, for the first time ever, we had started to converge the amount of people who were dying. And guns from what we were dying in cars. But with cars, we have all kinds of things that are supposed to keep us safe from them, right? We have all kinds of laws and tires, and we have all kinds of safety that goes into our vehicles every single day. All kinds of safety measures that we don't kill people. And I'm not saying that texting and driving and how all that has all come into effect. Drunk driving, all those things that we have talked about, all those advocacy groups that we have, again, to keep us safe while in vehicles. All the laws we have passed to keep us safe while we drive. But we still do not have enough laws to keep us safe from gun violence. And I'm not saying the guy who killed everybody in Thousand Oaks, California, was a veteran. And I'm not, first of all, he didn't come in with some crazy AR-15, 3,000 mags, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know, his gun was legal, and I've never served our country. I'm not here to also ever, especially this close to Veterans Day, to talk about anything bad about veterans. I've got veterans in my family, on both my side and the in-law side. I have a lot of friends who are veterans. I know so does Crawford. So and there's a lot of them, and almost all of them, a majority of veterans that I know, I definitely trust with gun ownership. And I don't blame that this guy being a veteran for being a shooter. Okay. I just want everybody to know that. Like, I don't say this guy was a shooter because he's a veteran. Did he probably have some PTSD, or maybe he had some mental health issues? Absolutely. And again, that's a small law that we could pass. Okay, you guys want us to not take away your guns and whatever, not put bans. Fine. How about we just do a mental health check once a year? Since we can't pay for mental health in our levies or anything else, how much would it really cost for gun owners only to have to go through one mental health check per year? Okay? For one, there's a lot of people out there who have psych degrees and have all kinds of therapist degrees that would love, and I'm pretty positive would love to dedicate, okay, this is the week that, like, literally we spend 20 minutes with or whatever. I know we should spend more than 20 minutes, but I'm saying, how much resources do we need to be that's something that somebody look it up for us, please.
Yes.
Please.
Somebody do the research.
Somebody please do it. But how much would it take? I mean, Crawford, I don't think it would take that much for us to do at least one mental health check a year. Okay, so let's not even talk about stock.
I think that's all we really need to talk. I mean, we need to talk about a lot
all
of
kinds
things
of shit with guns,
but I think that's the main issue. If we could just settle on that, as far as mental health and gun ownership, I think that would lick about 80% of what we need to talk about. You know,
because. Exactly. And also because, I mean, especially Rachel Miller has talked about this on several occasions, is about domestic violence and gun ownership. And I'm sorry, but if you have domestically beaten the shit out of somebody, you shouldn't have a gun, man or woman, by the way.
Yeah.
if you are a domestic abuser, I don't think that you should be the right to a fucking firearm. Well, they're going to stab her anyways.
I've beat my boyfriend up a few times. I mean, sometimes you got to slap a dude around if you want to get your point across.
Right.
Doesn't mean I don't deserve a gun, Miles. I'm just joking. I haven't slapped him since I was in my early 20s. You know?
Just hit him upside their head.
Emotional.
Hit him upside their head.
You know,
man,
like,
you guys are
I
fucking
used to
crazy.
slap my boyfriend all the time in the face when we would get in fights, and then we just got tired of that.
He was like, "And this isn't working. And we gotta probably stop this."
Yeah, you're not gonna slap. I used to get so mad, just whack.
Whack.
Not
But
like
we've also learned that smacking is bad. Look, we've all learned. We've all grown. We've all learned about spanking kids. We've all learned about. Yeah, we've all learned our things. So, okay, so if we can't agree. And gun owners, especially gun owners who listen, because I know there's a few of you who are gun owners who listen to our podcast. Please let me know how you would feel, because you know Crawford and I love feedback, how you would genuinely feel about having to go through one mental health test per year if it was paid for by the state. Because I think that is the one thing that we could at least agree on. And if a domestic abuser, you know, doesn't have a gun, I think that's a good thing. Because more than likely, a domestic abuser who doesn't get his way usually kills his victims and his kids and a few other things. Like, let's not all pretend that we've never heard that story about a dad who went crazy and killed, you know, his ex-wife and his children because nobody could have them. And I'm not trying to bring the podcast down. Sorry, folks. I'm really not. I'm just saying right now there's a serious situation.
Blanket.
I am a wet blanket. But we'll see. Actually, I was just trying to give a shout out to Two Girls on a Bench because they've done some baller work. And I know
awesome.
that for me and you, like it had
I forgot
this happen in our
that started out as a shout out to them. I forgot.
I know. So Two Girls on a Bench, just so you know, I'll stop my soapbox. But
No. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No. I need to get off of it because I'm going to get emotional and I'm coming down from the woman time of the month anyways. And the depression all coming down at once. So,
right. I hear
but,
she got a spiral, y'all. She about to spiral.
But for anybody who's listening, you guys really should check to at Two Girls on a Bench, and I know they have a Ko-Fi page where you can donate $3 to their cup of coffee and maybe give a kudos to them for helping out in Thousand Oaks because that's a big deal, you know. And also, will y'all stop fucking killing each other? So
can't we all get along?
Hey, Crawford, let's go on a positive note. What have you been watching lately? Is there anything new TV-wise or anything great?
I watched House of Cards on Netflix and was just like, what? The final season was weird. That's about all I can say about that. I can't really give it, you know. I don't know. It just, I don't know. It was weird. What else? I've been watching a lot of stuff lately. Oh, you have Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I've been watching this series called Schitt's Creek. It's SCHITTS. And it's Schitt's Creek, and I enjoyed that. I binge watched that. It's a quick little series and it's funny. On TV, nothing really. I've just been really
I don't really
busy.
watch TV either, so
Usually I watch a ton of TV series. Like you can suggest a whole bunch of podcasts, and I could lay out a whole bunch of TV shows. You know, like you know what? King of the Hill is now streaming on Hulu. I find that
good fucking knowledge. Thank you.
Right, like that's my purse. I don't know you.
Oh, get off my purse! I don't know you. Fucking love Bobby Hill.
So I've been watching that, but then I like to watch a lot of The Man in the High Castle. That's a series on Amazon Prime. I really like that one. It's an adaptation of the Philip K. Dick, I think, is the author.
Yeah.
I think it's an adaptation of his novel, and I think that's in season 2 or 3 now. That I just watched.
I've heard great things. I have not watched, so it's good stuff.
It's like an alternate university, an alternate universe. Like that the Nazis
because I don't know about it.
the Nazis in Japan won the war, and so they split the United States like in half. Like Japan owns the East Coast, and Nazi Germany owns the West, and they fight and go back and forth, and it's got a little bit of time travel to it, or not even time travel, but like jumping dimensions, things like that. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
And I just finished that, so I haven't really had time to watch or listen to anything though. It's been a go type thing for me the last month. So
Yeah, my new job, I haven't been able to really
that's what I like about Netflix.
Podcast.
Yeah, you can just like power through something when you finally have time. You don't have to worry about missing the season, or you can just when you're ready, you can sit down and just dedicate time, engross yourself in the story. So.
Right, and and I have to agree. Right now, my kids recently got into. Well, I mean, I've always watched Fresh Off the Boat, but my kids have gotten into it.
I watched
so
that too.
we've been watching. Yeah, we've been binge watching Fresh Off the Boat and doing some of that. I actually really enjoy that show. I know that
I
Eddie,
like the Goldbergs.
The Goldbergs is great. Oh, so
I do watch on Hulu. I've got like 5 or 6 shows that I watch every week, like Modern Family. I like Blackish. Fresh Off the Boat. I really like Blackish. I don't know how, but I really like it. They bring up some good points from interesting point of views and explore topics without getting too heavy. It's kind of just
I was
food
talking
for
about
thought.
Blackish with WDIM on the last podcast, and that's actually, I recommend the exact same show because I said this is our generation's version of the Cosby Show.
Yeah, it's they put issues out there just for you to think about without really making you put your defenses up.
Yeah,
it's like here's some knowledge. Here's why we feel this way, and just take that and ingest it, buddy. So I do
really
watch
like that one too.
Yeah, I like that one. So
I do have Superstore yet.
I have caught a few episodes of that. I don't watch it often. I've also watched The Good Place a couple times, and that's
God,
right.
I love The Good Place.
I watched the first season, maybe the second season, but I don't watch it. I just I used to watch Grey's Anatomy like religiously, and I haven't watched that in like 2 years, 2 seasons or 3 seasons now. I don't even know.
I haven't watched Grey's Anatomy since Danny died. After Danny died, I was like, and I'm done. I'm done. I couldn't, the heart wrench of it all, I think, is that Grey's Anatomy makes me cry too much. Yeah. It's the same reason that I haven't watched This Is Us, and I know women, oh my God, have you not watched This Is Us?
I have not watched This Is Us, okay. I don't like romance, I don't like girl, air quotes, girl movies. And to me, like, from everything I've seen of This Is Us, I'm like, that is just nothing but chicken soup for the soul bullshit.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. I don't need to have my heartstrings pulled, okay? My life is sad enough.
Right. See, for me, it's like ever since once Parenthood ended, I needed to take a step back from, I think, that...
I did watch that. I watched Brothers and Sisters, too. That was a little bit before. That was, like, right before that. But I really liked that series, too. But, I'm like, I'm good on those kind of series.
Yeah, I needed to take a step back from all of it. I was just... Parenthood... Now, and Parenthood, if y'all haven't watched it, it's actually a really phenomenal... It has Coach, for those of you who remember the TV show Coach. It has Dax Shepard, who actually plays phenomenal in it. It has Peter from 6 Feet Under. I forget what new television show he's in now. It has Lorelai from Gilmore Girls in it. The cast is phenomenal. Hands down, just fucking beautiful cast. But Parenthood was kind of like my last like really serious series that I dived into, and I loved it. I mean, it wasn't too serious. It definitely had its quirky, but it also was very, but it was very dramatic and a lot of that. I mean, you had a little bit of everything going on in that show, from marriage problems to, racial issues to, autism, he had Asperger's disease. So there was a lot of things that were going on in Parenthood that I really loved. But that was, it was like my serious like show. And after that ended, I had a hard time, and I still do, The only other serious show I think I got into and binge watched and really appreciated was Atypical. That's on Netflix. And
I've seen that on there, but I haven't watched it.
It's really fucking cool. So that's how I can describe Atypical. The main character has autism, and he's in his teenage years of autism. And it's kind of how his family has been functioning with his autism, over the years, and how it's kind of affected, everyone's relationship, from his parents' marriage to his relationship with his sister. But it's also about how he learns about being a teenager with autism. He's high functioning. He has his tics and his problems, but, from getting a girlfriend, and the mom who has been the hovering mom, which I have learned, not just through the show, but from over the years. A smother. And it's not for more, it's our defense mechanism, and I'm not saying that because I know there's a lot of moms out there, who have children that are on the spectrum to some sorts. So, but, moms sometimes, especially moms, take on this role of like, you really are a caretaker, and you really are putting your life on hold, and there's all these things about when the mom can feel freedom and what does that look like in a marriage. And when, your kid with autism starts to grow, how do you let go because you've been working so hard and keeping them protected because you had to, and so it's a really good, it's a little emotional, and it has drama, but it's funny in ways that it probably shouldn't be funny, but it is, because you can't help but laugh. Like, this kid, the very first time that, he gets a hand job. He's like, I got a hand job in the igloo, and like, and he just busted out, he's very honest, it's his thing. He doesn't,
right.
He can't lie, but I think it's one of those great things about TV shows, that like you said, I mean, sometimes you're in the mood for, Man in the High Castle, and sometimes you're in the mood for fucking King of the Hill.
It just depends. Sometimes, especially like when I'm cleaning around the house, I'll put like, I've seen King of the Hill at least 3 or 4 times, the full season, So I don't need to stand there and watch it because I have already seen it. I can just listen. But it's great for like house cleaning, things like that. Like, but a lot of times I'll put it on my little TV before I go to sleep. Just, set it on play. I have all the seasons. I own them all. So.
It's kind of like you got King of the Hill and I have MASH.
I've been wanting to watch MASH. I think it's on Amazon Prime. I've been thinking about. I'm like,
it's on also Hulu. All
is it on Hulu?
It is.
I didn't know that.
Is.
I might dive into that. I was watching Golden Girls
on there. It's my bedtime show. Yeah,
I was watching Golden Girls.
Because, I love Golden Girls. Yeah, it's funny because Andy almost always knows that before, like, if I'm going to fall asleep, like, and I'm having a hard time sleeping and I can't go to bed, he's just like, dude, just throw some, and he knows that. It's funny because he'll throw on TV shows and pass out, and then every time he's like, why did I wake up to Adventure Time or MASH? Because those are the 2 shows I've watched so many times that I can put on, and it's just that, like,
you can fall asleep safely because you don't need to stay awake for the plot.
I know, because I know it, and I'm like, and I love it, and I think everybody knows that I'm, I'm a huge MASH fan.
I do the same thing too, though. I put on TV shows or podcasts. I listen to the audiobooks too, and I put a sleep timer on too. I put like a half hour. That way, the next day, I just have to rewind it like maybe 15 minutes, and I'm like, okay, give me another 15 minutes of this story.
Yeah, and see, it's funny. I need to do that with my youngest. He really loves listening to Neil deGrasse Star Talk podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And Jack, he loves that shit. And so, seriously, we had to put the Google Home in his bedroom just so every night before he goes to bed, he's like, I can't sleep. And I'm like, well, put on Star Talk. And he does. He puts on Star Talks and he falls right to bed, but he is so excited because March 3rd, season 2 of The Cosmos with Neil deGrasse Tyson comes out on Fox.
Yeah, that took forever. They put out like one season 6 years ago, 8 years ago.
Yeah, it was, I think, like 4 years ago. And so when I found out about that, I mean, I wish you were there because you would really have appreciated, you know, how quirky Jack is. Mm-hmm. But his face, you know, those big old eyes of his just like blew up. And he was like, oh, are you serious? You know, he's like, Dad, we have to get cable. I have to get on Fox. I'm like, buddy, we have Hulu for a reason. Like,
Right.
I am like 100% positive we will find this show the day after. He's like, I need to watch the season premiere. I'm like, buddy, okay, fine. Like, if I need to like download and pay like $10.99 for like, seriously, Fox for just that month so you can watch the very first episode when it comes out, I fucking will. You know, like, he's... Jack loves the stars. He loves the cosmos. He thinks that whole science stuff is just... And I appreciate that because... You know, let's get kids involved, by the way. Right. And get your kids involved with some science. STEM. I mean, STEM isn't just for smart kids. You know, you should just...
Everybody has
I think that once you can... Yeah, like, I think that STEM is such an important program. And not just because, you know, this is a computer age and they need to know about it, but... For, you know, my youngest, he wants to be part of the STEM program because he wants to get into NASA one day. You know, he's very, like, he's dead set on the science part of it. He's obsessed with the stars and the galaxies, and there's nothing wrong if your kid doesn't want to play sports and instead wants to learn about science. There's nothing there. Take that opportunity and, like, grow that shit, man. Grow the beautiful brains because we're going to need them, and especially to, you know, stop the climate change. Hence why it's fucking snowing in Ohio before Thanksgiving.
Fuck that.
Fucking shit. Yeah, I know, right?
So, yeah.
Dude. Yeah, Crawford, we're hitting like an hour and a half. So, what you got?
I think I just gave you all the thought I have.
No.
No, yeah, I gave my TV recommendations. I can't give away all of my secrets.
Aw, but I want all your secrets.
I have all
your secrets.
I have to keep some mystery. You won't be interested anymore. So,
look, guys, we're gonna tell you that we're gonna put out another podcast, but
it'll happen.
We'll see.
Making it happen.
I know we got some.
Captain.
Yeah, we'll make it happen one day, and we'll get our shit. Maybe I don't even know, but we're making it happen little by little. And it's winter season, so it's hibernation season. So I'm not.
It is.
I mean, and Crawford's got a crazy
lots
work
of content.
Schedule. Yeah,
we'll
put out lots of content.
Well,
I need to fucking update the website. Fuck, I'm so behind.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll help with that. You can visit us at milesandcrawford.com. We're on Twitter, MC Variety Hour. We're on Facebook. You can find us on any streaming app, iHeartRadio, Spotify. We're all over the fucking place. I mean, we're kind of like an infestation. So
it's true. And
we're awesome, though. Oh, and we're going to be having some more interviews and guest speakers, I guess you would call them, or guest hosts. I don't know.
Who's going to be, do you remember our music background? Who we got to give credit to?
His name is Marcos. Right?
Correct.
Hey, I got
Yay!
it right. I'm very excited about that because I was like, I think she, I don't know. Yeah. So thank you very much, Marcos. And credit goes out to, is there a title of it, or did I just say Marcos?
It's called the Windy City, I believe.
The Windy City.
The actual Windy City, and it's by Marcos, and he is half of the WAFL Productions podcast.
And he's the best.
So if you really is, thank you so much.
Marcos.
Both of those hosts on Waffle, just both of them. I mean, they're
my hand
avid supporters.
Avid supporters. That's what they're called. Sorry. I don't know how. I don't understand social graces. So I'm either too much or not enough.
I have missed you. I have genuinely missed you. I have missed our podcast. I have missed you so much.
It's my puns. I save them up all week.
Crawford. I also need to come up to Upper, quickly, because I have stickers from the Brooke Reading podcast. I have got not only that, but super listener Chad Fackler made stickers finally. And
that has just graduated him to the adult table.
Chad Fackler, did you hear that, Chad? You're on the adult table.
It's your Easter egg. We'll know if you're listening because you just got promoted to the adult table and you're not going to know unless you listened.
And Drinks
funny.
with Larry, by the way.
I love you.
I want to give a shout out to them. They do have a voicemail, and I left 2, if not 3, drunk voicemails on that. So Crawford, is now going to be your time to leave them some maybe stone voicemails. I'm going to send you that number so you can fuck with Drinks with Larry.
I would love to. Can I do my voices?
Yes.
Great.
Drinks with Larry would absolutely love that. And as always, Married AF, No Phony Podcast Network, BS3 Podcast. Dude,
Yep.
by the way, Ben, we love you. You have
Ben,
asked
you're the
now,
best.
Well, he's asked for us to come on his show like 4 times, and we have not been able to make this work.
I'm really
Ben,
sorry, Ben. We're going to make you a priority.
We got to make him a priority. Like, this
You're gonna
guy
get a hand
has...
job with eye contact. It's coming for you,
Ben is
buddy.
a good man. Remember,
But
BS3. Hey, he's got...
BS3, you're
foul
awesome.
language.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Great man.
Yeah,
We're gonna be
no
on your
foul
podcast.
language. Do not
No foul
curse.
language. Don't
I don't-
curse. Be good.
It's probably
but
good that I'm on there.
We will be on your podcast, Ben. We gotta make this work. Our schedules between
I'll
Crawford
probably
and
be
I.
quiet. I'll just not talk, except for some, Yep. Yep.
Crawford, everybody loves you. It's always
I know.
it's never the same without you. It's just not. It's just not the same without
That's
you.
really
so.
nice of you to say. I love you too, Miles.
I do. I love you so much, and I miss you dearly.
I miss you
So
as well.
much. So, anyways, podcasters, we're not going to make out over the microphones, but maybe we'll.
Well, when we hit the stop recording, that's how we make money to support the podcast. We sell it.
We really haven't
It's
made
just
much
2
money lately.
women.
Y'all need to start donating. Like, we made
Just-
like $10 one month, and that was it.
Yeah, you know what? We just that would be a funny podcast. Just it's porn for the blind. The very niche market. We probably could make a good killing off that. I'm gonna look to research porn for the blind.
Dude, let's
Let's
do some research for that stuff, man. It'd be great.
I'm gonna undo your
Hey,
button
dude,
now.
we can make it like dude, if I can quit my day job, I'll do it.
Right? I am not above a lot of things that people think you should be.
My moral compass is broke, just for myself, not for
The
humanity.
needle
Uh,
went out the car window years ago. Just putting out a yeah.
We threw it out with our cigarette butts.
Right? I was just going to say that. That's so funny. Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out with us for an hour-ish. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.